Okay, let's have a simple introduction of ECS imaging. ECS imaging is a web-based application. We only need a web browser, a web link, username and password to log in the system. Once you enter username and password, it goes into the default page, which is the latest TEM exam. So we can see that there's patient's images, patient information, and if there's a report, you can see the green icon. You can select the report, clicking on the report and see view the report. On the left hand side is the main menu, including home page, appointment, admission, work list, patient record, and archive. There are many other modules because I'm in the administrative account, so I have access to all the modules. And this is fully configurable, so and not all the profiles can see all the modules. Some profile, for example, the CA clinical assistant only see the registration appointments. It depends on the requirement. On top, there is some system settings. For example, we can see the internet connection, the printer connection, and the connection to other systems. And also we have options for different viewers. For example, it comes with the ECS web viewer, Myrian, 3D viewer, and U-viewer. We also integrate with third-party viewers, for example, Insight viewer or Sirix or other viewers. And you can see the username, which is the current login user, and some administrative settings. So now let's go to the appointments. As you can see, here is our infrastructure, HKWI, TST sites, and central sites. And we can configure these infrastructures by here. A nurse in the TST side, I don't want to see anything in the center. I can hide this center side by clicking. And now we only see what I want to see. And we can see that appointments separate based on modality, for example, mammogram, ultrasound, and DEXA. For mammogram, we already see there are already 5 appointments. So let's say a patient calls the clinic and want to make an appointment for mammogram. So let's say I want to make an appointment, say Lucy, want to have a mammogram 2D, right? And then simply click verified. Now appointment has been made. Of course, if the patient changes his mind, say, okay, and I want to change my appointment after 5, so I can simply join job. So I can join job here. Patient, same patient, in-patient, file patient. Confirm, because this patient is already has appointment for ultrasound. So it reminds you if you want to change the schedule or something. And also I want to show you how to make a double appointment. For example, if I say I want to make appointment for this person, I want to make a mammogram 3D, and also I want to make a ultrasound. I just search the protocol name and input an ultrasound kidney and select a time for this patient. So for example, this one. Confirm. This patient look is being making 2 appointments. One is for the mammogram, one is for the ultrasound. Left click. There are many options. For example, patient admission, edit appointment, change protocol, to cancel the appointment, etc. Now let's just simply confirm the appointment. As you can see, if the appointment is confirmed, the bar turns from gray to green, which indicates the appointment is confirmed. So let's go to admission. So let's say Lucy won't make the appointment for the mammogram 2D. Let's make administration by double click on this patient. Now we can verify the patient information, for example, patient ID, name, birthday, to make sure it's the person, and we can verify the referring physician, additional patient data, for example, the nationality, place of birth, language, and also patient medical information, for example, patient height, patient weight, and some disability information and allergical information. We can fill in all the information here. Right hand side, we can see the admission data, for example, the sites, date and time of the examination, physicians, and also the protocol. We verify everything's okay by clicking Save Admission. Now we go to the work list. As we can see, this patient, Lucy, is being admitted. And we can see the patient status, which means that the patient after admission is waiting in the admitting room. And we use icons to reflect the status of the patient in the clinic. For example, this patient now is sitting in the waiting room and the icon is green. If this patient waits more than 5 minutes, it turns from green to orange. If the patient waits more than half an hour, it turns to red. We use status icons to reflect the patient status in the clinic. And we can see a lot of information here, and we have so many columns. Normally, on the section here, it's normally for receptions or front desk. For example, to get patient information, patient profile, documents, to print labels, and in the middle of this section is normally for nurse or radiograph to verify the patient's record, to verify the patient's protocols, and if this patient needs inject material before examination, and also with the radiation dose. And the last section normally is used by the radiologist, and for example, to write report, voice recording to view images. All those information can be customizable. For example, if I want to only have a clinical assistant view, so I can make the view like this, so when the nurse, the clinical assistant log in, she only sees those information. This can be customized based on profile or individual user. Now let's go back to the full column. Let's say this patient Lucy Wang, and she's waiting in the waiting room. The next step is she goes to the examination room. Once the exam begins, the first image upload to here, and you will see something like this. The icon from the waiting room changes to this status automatically, which means that an exam is in progress. After the examination finished, the icon changed to this icon, which means that the patient left the examination room, wait for the results. And the report's finished, everything finished, patient gone, we can change the status to this, which means that the patient is gone. The complete workflow finished. So for example, the radiologist we can use here to record voices. For example, testing, this is patient Lucy Wang, and she's okay, blah, blah, blah. And we save this voice. And then you can see the icon, we can play the voice as well by clicking here, and we will play the voice. Now we can write reports. So by clicking on this icon, and new reports. So if the report has a voice, we can play the voice. If not, and the template is already customized beforehand. So all we need to do is modify a few settings, and then the doctors either can verify the reports, something like that. And this is maybe if it's junior radiologist needs approval from senior. First initial validation required, and then we can see this status is being changed. And we also use different icons to reflect the status of the report. For example, this icon meaning that this report is pending for validation, and this report meaning that it's still in draft, and this report means that the report is validated. So the system helps the user to understand patient status and the report status. For example, we can see and that this patient is waiting in the waiting room, and this patient is gone out of the examination room, and the doctor already drafted the initial report. So this reflects the whole situation going on the clinic. On top here also gives you an overview of the clinic. For example, I can see there are totally 14 examinations and 5 of them not coming yet, and 4 of the patients waiting in the waiting room, 1 in the examination room. Another feature of this widget is used to filter information. For if I want to see all the patients waiting in the waiting room, I simply click here and it filters all the information here. And we can also use the filters here, for example, the patient's name, birthday, referring doctor, and also modality. Of course, on top of that, we have a time filter. Another feature of the widget is that to send alerts. For example, if I can configure that if the patients in the waiting room is more than 5, I need to get an alert. And then now we have 4, so we change another one, for example, here. Now there are 5 patients in the waiting room, and then the system reflects, saying it gives a warning, sets this, okay, 5 patients in the waiting room, and sets the color into orange, and also move this widget from here to here, so we can see it better, and it helps the management team to better manage the patient workflow in the clinic. Another thing I want to introduce is the patient record. For example, I want to see a patient, this patient, and then want to check about how many times this patient has been in the clinic. We click here, and then we see it checks all the patient's information, for how many visits has this patient booked, and all the examinations. For example, if there's images, reports, we can view reports, and we can see all the documents this patient's already taken, and we can view the past reports, and we can, for example, this one, we can see all the reports and compare reports and how many exams this patient has been taking. Okay. Last section is the archives. In this module, I mainly want to introduce 2 things. The first thing is to share an image or report with a referring doctor. So for example, I want to share this patient, Wang Zhong, and then simply click here and then share. If this referring doctor is already a registered user, we only simply enter the user's name, for example, here, and then I select. And I set sharing restrictions. For example, I only want to share with this doctor for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, they cannot access to the information, and then click share. Or if this is a new referring doctor, I click on send an invitation and enter the doctor's email address, Dr. Roy, and then system generates a temporary user and password for a doctor, and also I can set up the restriction dates, and then share. And you can input, of course, some comments. For example, please take a look at this patient, thank you, and then click share. And the system will send an email to the referring doctor, and then the doctor can use the login information to check out the patient's information. Another thing I want to show you about is patient portal. We can use the username and password to log into the patient portal, and we can also use a URL. Just send this URL link to the patient through email or through text, or the patient can use a phone barcode scanner to scan this barcode to log into the patient portal directly. Now I'm going to show you how the patient portal looks like. So we go to the web browser and we click I'm a patient and input the username and password. So let's check the patient username is this one, and password, and login. After the patient logs in, the patient sees all the examination been taken. For example, this patient already took 1 mammogram and 1 CT head scan, and we can view images here, and also if there's a prescriptions or other documents, or if there's reports, we can also simply click on the reports and view the reports. This patient portal keeps all the files, patient images, patient reports in one place, which really helps the patient. This is the simple instruction of ECS imaging. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.